What's going on, everyone? Dalt here with Leasy Parts in the Scrap Left Garage, and it is time to make some more progress on the FD. As you can see, we got it on the trailer here. We're going to be taking it up to Josh's at JCH Weld Fab for him to go ahead and fabricate the intercooler, radiator, piping, intake filter, really anything that we can throw at him here. And on the way over, we're going to pop over to the Cold Classic Brewery. Capital Auto Club is putting on a meet over there, so my daughter and I are going to pop in there, check it out, and then we're going to get this thing up to Josh's. Yeah, is the red car broken? Yeah, is Mr. Josh gonna fix that? Is he gonna make it not broken?
Yeah.
Yeah, is he gonna make it not broken? Alright guys, so we're here at Josh's JCH Weld Fab. We're gonna go over what we need to do on the FD. Intercooler, radiator, you know, charge piping.
Oh dude, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was tight, you're right.
Yes. So what I'm thinking, so I would like to do the radiator kind of like the R8 at a 45-degree angle. Okay. Ish, you know what I mean, whatever that ends up being. This is actually where the factory radiator mounted, you can see, and it actually tied down here to where the sway bar is. This car is not going to run a front sway bar. So I put those mounts on there if you want to use them as an attachment point, like for the lower bracket, if you want to weld something onto them and go off of them. If you want to take them off because, you know, you can use the bolts on the frame rail, that's fine too. But obviously you only have like back to that far. Intercooler underneath here. Again, I'm fine with cutting the bumper at this point. The top here, you see how the top comes all the way out to like there? Yeah. And then like if you go straight down, it ends up being there. Yeah. That's essentially where I wanted the core to sit more or less, was kind of like butted up against that. Yeah. And we'll probably have to cut the
white thing,
the rebar also, and that's okay. Like I said, that just, it is what it is at this point. I think that's the only way that it's going to actually fit. There's a decent amount of space width-wise there to fill the opening, and you can let me know as far as what you're thinking.
Yeah,
just bouncing ideas off you. I think that the radiator core is not going to be able to come all the way over to this frame rail. Like, you're going to have to leave the space on this side. But the problem is that this charge pipe would need to go down this side. The charge pipe coming back up to the throttle body would need to go down this side.
And I talking about same side.
Yeah, I think that's how it has to be done. Otherwise, you're going to end up losing 3 inches on each side, and then the radiator is going to be really small. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Where if it's like almost shifted over to that side, and you just leave 4 inches on this side here, that way all the charge pipes, or I guess they're not even necessarily 3-inch charge pipe. That's probably only like 2.5. But this, I didn't clock it at all. It's a little bit, so it looks like it's a little bit different than a turbo, where it's not like you just loosen it up. You have like 6 points. Yeah. I think that these ones, like one of these has to line up with that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So like it can clock whatever that is. What do you think that is? Maybe 25, 30 degrees, whatever. So if that will help, that's fine. And if it goes this way, I'll have to cut the hood more, which isn't a problem. If it goes this way, it'll be fine because it gets smaller. Yeah. So, but if anything, I think it's going to go that way, so that shoots over more. And same thing, like whatever you need to do, like if you need to chop it and weld to it, like that's fine. I really don't care. So I think the only thing that's like problematic on this is I want to get a filter onto this thing. So like in my head, again, I'm like, oh, if it like 90'd and then like had a filter going down here, but with like a charge pipe behind and then maybe a charge pipe like in front, it's just, it's tight. Or I'd like it to just be normal. Basically as big as we can, as big as we can get it into there. So whatever we can fit, and then same thing with the radiator, you know, like as big as we can get the radiator. You have obviously outlet there, outlet there. The steam ports aren't on it, but it'll have the steam port also. Yep. So I was thinking probably like over here, some sort of like air separation tank, you know what I mean? Okay. Whether it's a cylinder or a yeah, put a cap on it, and then like the -6, you can basically do either like a -6 or a -4, and I'll adapter it down, and that will go in.
It's gonna be AM.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That'll go in, and then like similarly, there will be an outlet for it that will like fill the radiator. Basically, Does that make sense? PCV stuff. I want to do like a catch can setup, just tucked back here. Yes, there's literally nothing else going back there. So this is going to be, I have like one of the -10 like actual adapter cap, where that one is at the back there. Do a -10 AN, and it'll come across the back. And then I'm going to actually run these two, because that's from the lower down on the crank. So that will probably, these two will just get wide in, and it'll be like one single -6. And that should be, I think, all the evacuation that I need for that.
It's funny, it looks like a lot of room, but...
You know, you have your work cut out for you. Yeah. I 100% know that you have your work cut out for you. So I think that there is...
I mean, it'll work out.
Yeah, I was going to say, like...
Anybody else have a setup like this?
No.
I don't think you'll need to find you spals or whatever that will fit the radiator.
Fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. We'll basically do the same thing. Yeah. I'm fine with one if it's one big one. Okay. That's fine too. Really, whatever's going to fit the radiator.
I can make a shroud with a nice shroud with nice.
Removable shroud this time. Yeah, removable the first time.
God, that header's so close to the steering shaft.
So yeah, and I have to. It's going to come back for the exhaust. Nothing for exhaust right now. I didn't get the rear end in the car. So I want to get the actual rear end in, and then I'm going to have to order the drive shaft. It's not like an off-the-shelf thing. I've alluded to the rear end a couple times now, and I may have even shown it on camera, but it's basically just been a little pile of parts sitting here for, you know, however long. This was actually one of the first pieces of the puzzle that I picked up. I went up to the local LKQ up in Baltimore and pulled them out of Explorers. So the Explorers are 8.8 IRSs. They are 28 spline. Ronin Speedworks makes a weld-in kit, which is, this is the piece that goes in the differential, which has to be welded on, or not on the differential, excuse me, the rear subframe to mount the differential, and we'll dive into that a little bit more later. And then there's a rear cover, which may not be in here, maybe in one of my other boxes. And essentially what it does is it makes it so you can adapt the 8.8 IRS to the car itself. This is the actual outer hubs with the extended lugs, and this uses the larger Explorer CVs for the IRS, and then these are the custom axle bars themselves. So I am missing one piece. I think it may be still tucked in the car here. Yeah, there it is. I've had it in the car because I was maybe looking at getting it powder coated. And then this is the rear mounting assembly. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I might have to order some bushings for this thing, which would be a major holdup and a big oversight on my part if it is. So in my haste, I did indeed not order differential bushings. So I ordered the whole differential kit. It unfortunately did not show up in time. It was supposed to be here on Friday. Didn't show up till Monday or Tuesday or something like that. So what we are going to do is we are going to get some of these other things taken care of while the car's up at Josh's. When the car gets back, we'll get the rear end in it, get all the measurements we need, get the drive shaft ordered, so on and so forth. These come from, I think, 06 to 09. Maybe it's like up to 2010. And the only thing that you really need, you need the CVs, because apparently the aftermarket ones aren't very good, so you need OEM ones even though they're, you know, used. And then what you're looking for, actually looks like I only have 3 axles, which will be fine. I'll have a spare set of CVs, so I'm gonna get them apart. But what you need is the dual ear fronts, which came on like the middle of the 06s and then up to whatever it was, 08, 09, 2010. So they had a previous version that only had 1 mounting ear, which obviously isn't as strong, but you can see these are aluminum housings. The rear cover is going to have to get modified slightly. We are going to dive in, and I'm going to get all of the axles apart, because again, all I need is the CVs themselves. We'll go ahead and get the back covers off of both of these, see what they look like internally, and we'll go from there. So I got one of them apart here, and I'm going to throw out, you know, a scary word to say here on YouTube. I had to go look at the directions, because I have never taken apart an axle, one of the outer CVs like that. And it's pretty simple and straightforward. Luckily, Ronin does a really, really awesome job with their write-up. So I went and I looked that up. And what we're going to do is we're going to knock this one out, and you'll kind of see how it gets done here. And that is pretty much it. So second one off, you saw it came off nice and easy. Once you had the right way, you just don't want to hit it like directly, which is why I use a piece of wood, and you want it to fall onto something softly, which is why I put a blanket here on the ground. So moving on to the differentials here, we're going to go ahead and pop both of them open. Both of them will need the rear covers modified. We have to basically chop off these ears to fit. And then also one of them is going to get a different gear ratio. One of them is just going to get put in the car. It has the factory 355s on it, which we will see what they do gear ratio wise. I'll use that as well as some calculations to get a good idea of which direction I need to go. Basically, I know which direction I'm going to need a longer gear ratio, but it's going to be a matter of how long. You know, a decent amount of guys drop down to the like the 323s. I think you can go to like a 308. So we're going to use the 355s that are in it to get a good baseline for where we need to be with the gear ratios for, you know, the roll racing and stuff like that we're going to be doing with the car. All right, so we have both of the differentials open. Both of them look completely fine. I don't see any actual issues in there. I haven't gone fully around with them, so I guess while I have the camera on, I probably should make sure there's not a chipped gear or something along those lines, but everything looks pretty darn good. So, like I said, I don't think it's really going to much matter which one I decide to throw in the car for the time being. One thing that is interesting is I just realized that there are two styles of rear diff covers, and I had seen that in my reading, and you can see that I ended up with one of each, where this one has the higher rib count and that one has less. So again, I may look into just aftermarket diff cover options, or these have to get modified. You essentially have to chop off the ear there to get it out of the way for the FD. But you can see like the drain plug is enormous compared to that one there. So we will see which one we use, but one way or another. Actually, one thing that I'm looking at right now, I guess those have to line up, so it almost looks like that one might be like higher capacity. It almost looks like that one's tucked up further because that one doesn't kind of loop up. So that may mean that if anything, I might use that just to get a little bit more gear oil in there. So very interesting. And I know that this one is the later option too, so that might be actually, you know what too, one thing that I'm looking at real quick now, that says 373s on it. Both of these actually say 373s on it. So we are gonna have to count and see what the gear ratios on this thing is, because I thought that it was 355s. So I was able to get the axles assembled, and I apologize that I don't have a lot of camera footage for that as I'm flashing up right now. You guys can see I started recording and they were really fighting me, and I was completely, you know, filthy with my hands, and it was late in the day, so everyone else had left. So really I didn't get any good footage out of it, and as opposed to boring you guys with what I got, I went ahead and just, like I said, cut to this. You guys can see the final assembled product. I wasn't able to get them, the snap rings on the outside here, they're supposed to have a snap ring, and that was what was fighting me the whole time. I actually wasn't able to assemble them with the snap ring. So we're going to see if that has any issues later on down the road, but the ones that were on the OEM Explorer axles wouldn't work, and the ones that came with Ronin's kit wouldn't work either. Neither one of those would actually like compress to allow the CV to slide past it. They were actually just like bending and binding. Not super happy about that. Again, we'll see if it causes an issue down the road. I'd like to think when this thing is installed that it won't, but I guess it's definitely possible. So, like an idiot, I didn't film just getting the belt length for the FD, and what I did is I found a ratchet strap, and you can see I have two marks on it, and that was the maximum and the minimum with it not tensioned at all, and with it the tensioner fully extended. So what we have here is essentially what we're trying to do is get a belt that's right in between these two. And what I'm going to do is just grab a tape measure and measure out to see what the maximum and the minimum is. We are 82.5 to 86. So called up the local Auto Plus here, that's right down the street in Stevensville. Gave them the measurements that I figured out. We went shot right in the middle. We were looking for an 84-inch 6-rib belt, and they have one.
Belt, all right?
See, he's mad. He's mad, obviously. No, I'm gonna put that in the video. You want to try and interrupt me? I can keep my composure. Unlike you, you got to do it 8 times. Jerk. But yeah, we got what we need. So they're going to send it down, and we'll actually put it on the car, and I will record actually putting it on, so that way you guys can see that, and we'll be good to go.
Putting it on like the clutch?
There we go. Now we in business, I think.
Camera's about to die.
Oh, are you serious?
10%.
Okay, that's fine. Get us what we need here. Hopefully. If I'm messing with this thing that long, I'll get my butt kicked. Okay. Sometimes it's just an order of operations thing.
Yeah, and that other one over there now will actually let you put more tension in if you need to.
Correct. Alright, so we got super lucky. I'm gonna try and stand in the way because the lighting gets really bad this time of day. But it looks like we nailed this thing with the first try with the ratchet strap measuring. Got everything tensioned up, and it all looks pretty good. So we got some room there to go either direction. We're kind of right in the middle. So I think we are good to go with this belt, hopefully. So that's going to do it for this video, everybody. I appreciate you sticking through it with me. This video was a little bit disjointed because I had planned on getting the rear end in the car before I took it up to Josh's. So I had to kind of move stuff around just to make sense of the video here, since I didn't get that done, mainly because of the differential bushings not being in here. But we're going to spend some time figuring out the rear end stuff. Since we're only about halfway finished now, I want to look into the gearing options, kind of really get that solid and locked down. When the car gets back from Josh's, we'll do another video wrapping everything up for the rear end here and actually getting it installed in the car, and then we can proceed from there. But I think that'll be another good video. We're definitely going to hopefully get some more progress with the fabrication from Josh here in the very, very near future, and looking forward to seeing what he can do with the car. Obviously, you guys have seen what he can do on the R8. He's been doing stuff for years for us, and he just really is a very talented fabricator, so I'm very excited to have him working on the car, and I'm very much looking forward to getting the car back, though, and hopefully getting this thing wrapped up before the end of the year here. So thank you, everybody, again, for tuning in. We really appreciate the support. Just continue to, like, comment, let us know what you guys like to see, let us know what you think we can improve on. If you have any input on 8/8 gear options with T56 combinations for roll racing, definitely let me know on that too. I'm looking for some advice. Definitely stay tuned. We'll see where we go. I am sitting here looking at Alex's project right here, and it's here. I alluded to it in the Mopar video. We've been doing trying our best to not let you guys see it. It is here. It's definitely already snowballing, and I'm excited for him to be able to bring that to you guys. So definitely stay tuned for that. And as always, we'll be bringing you more of the regular content. Lee should have another good vet video this Friday. So stay tuned. We will see you next time.